Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's me again, Chelsea, and today I'm going to be telling you about the books that I read in the month of January and February. I was going to do this every single month, but I missed January. It happens, and I thought about potentially doing a recent reads and doing it every 3 months, and I thought, no, sod it, I'm going to talk to you about the 2 months worth of books that I have already read, and then hopefully bring these back every single month, because I really enjoy watching other people do these videos, and I hope you enjoy watching them too. So without further ado, the first books that I read in the month of January, bearing in mind I will not be talking about Spoof Boy books in this, just the books that I have read for fun and for my own book club that I host with the lovely Lisa. The first 2 that I read in January are actually part of a completed duology. I only own the first book, so I will hold this one up for the duration of talking about both, but that is One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. Now, in the very first book, we are reading from the perspective of Elsbeth, and she has got a spirit in her head. She calls him the Nightmare. He keeps her secrets, he keeps her safe, but magic comes at a cost. Nothing is for free. And when Elsbeth comes across a mysterious highwaywoman on her way home one night, she is thrust into a world of shadows and politics and just all-round adventure. This is a romantasy. We are following her fall in love with a certain character. It is quite intriguing. I will say I gave the first book 3 stars. I wasn't massively sold on it, didn't see what the hype was, but then the second book I gave 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I feel like the second book for me is better because the first book we're reading from Elsbeth's point of view only, and then in the second book we have multi-POVs. I'm not going to tell you who because that might spoil you for the first book and how it ends, but just know there are more points of view and the story kind of splits off, so I feel like we get a wider variation on the tale and the world, which I really like. I can kind of see why this got so much love and so much hype. I personally wouldn't give it as much hype, especially the first book, but I'm glad that people love this book. I don't actually own the sequel to this in the Fairy Loot edition, which is very, very pretty, so I'm in 2 minds as to whether I'm going to keep this edition or not. It's very nice, but I don't think I'm going to reread it, and I don't know. I don't think I'm going to reread it. I've read both books now. They're on Kindle Unlimited if you're interested, but yeah, I'm not sure if I need to keep this on my shelves as a trophy. And then the third book that I read in January, which rounds off the month for me, was actually Quicksilver by Callie Hart. I'll put a picture here because I don't own a copy of this book. I am intrigued enough to read the sequel. I gave this 4 stars. I actually did really enjoy it as I got into it. I like that for a romance fantasy book there is enemies to lovers in this book. I quite enjoyed our main character. I like her morally grey-ness. I like that she is a rough character. She is sassy. I just liked her. Like, there was just something about her that I really liked. I know that people find her annoying, and that's completely valid, but I just really got on with her. One of the things that just didn't gel with me was the names. I really enjoyed Ceres's name. I thought that was a lovely name, loved her name, and I really enjoyed a lot of the side characters' names. I just didn't like Kingfisher. Couldn't help but picture the animal every time I read that name. So when he had the nickname Fisher, I preferred that. I stuck with that. I think that is so much better in my opinion, and that is such a petty thing to get stuck over, but it was just how it felt. I kind of liked the banter between the characters. I didn't understand the point of the other human, if you know you know, that gets pulled through into the land of the Fae. His story felt odd. I always knew something was off with him, but his story felt odd, and I just feel as though the book, I gave it 4 stars because I enjoyed it. But if I look at it on a deeper level, my issues kind of were that we went from place to place to place for reasons. It was a lot of moving, and I felt like the ending portion was very quick. So I had a few pacing issues, but overall, like, I enjoyed it. It was a good time. I can see why people love it. I can see why people didn't like it. it was okay, you know? 50-50. But it was a 4 stars because I had a great time. And that's what I'm sticking with. And I read 5 books in the month of February. The first book I'm going to talk to you about is actually because it was picked for my in-person book club. And that was A Deal with the Elf King by Elise Kova. I gave this 3 stars, and after talking to my book club about it, it probably could have got less from me. I feel like 3 might have been a bit generous. But we're going to stick with 3 because that was my original rating. This book is set in a world where this little pocket of humanity live in a town connected to the Fey world through something called the Fade. They don't cross over either which way on a whim. It is purely for a ceremony that happens every 100 years or so, where the Fey King comes across to the human village and he finds the human queen, who he then takes back to the Fey world for reasons unbeknownst to the humans. So our main character is called Luella, and she has opened her own herbology store. She is a healer. She is all of these things. She's got so many hopes and dreams, and she feels indebted to her village. And right at the start, we were introduced to her love interest, which we don't like, Luke. And they have this like very odd, very awkward feeling romance bit right at the start, until it is discovered that she is actually the human queen, and Luke has given her a token that basically hides her magic. So no one knew that she was going to be the human queen. So when the Elf King comes for her and just takes her away, she knows nothing about what she's meant to do, how she's meant to act, what she is essentially, and nothing about her magic, which puts her on the back foot. Again, this is a romance fantasy, so we do get enemies to lovers, we do fall for the Elf King, but it felt disjointed to me personally. I didn't adore it. It's not the best romance. I really do feel as though I have got such high thoughts and feelings and expectations for these romance fantasy books when I actually don't read them very often. So to find one that I love is proving to be a struggle, because they just kind of irritate me a little bit, but I think that's just me. But yeah, I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. Again, I can see why people love this. I can see why people like me might not necessarily gel. I feel like there was a lot of things just kind of thrown into this book because they were. They were just there because. And we touch on things a little bit, but it wasn't as expansive as I like. And I get that as well, because this is a standalone book. It is under 300 pages, I want to say, and it's a standalone. So there's only so much that you can squish into that without it being dumpy. But it was okay. It was a 3 stars. Will I be continuing with her series that isn't really a series, it's a series of standalone books? No. But I hope that if you like this book that you carry on loving them. And then I went back into some full fantasy, and that was A Shed of What Was Lost by James Islington, which I am reading as part of my book club that I host with the lovely Lisa. We're having a great time. I gave this 4 stars. I think my problem with this is that I read it audibly. I don't think it's necessarily the book. So that says something. This is so complicated. Like, I think I would read the blurb to you, if I'm completely honest, because I don't know how to summarize this. Apart from, like, the blurb mentions Davian, who is a gifted young man, and he knows that he is not gifted in the way his friends are, and he is what is known as an augur, but an augur is bad and wrong, essentially. These guys created a war many, many years ago. People are against them. It's a whole thing, right? And then, but we don't just follow Davian and his point of view. We follow so many points of view. There's so many things interlinked. I really liked this. I liked going back to the classic fantasy kind of multiple POVs, loads of different like lines of stories that are going to intersect at some point. They start together, then they split off, and then we see how they come back together and the adventures that they go on separately. Really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed that. There is a sprinkling of romance in this, realistically, if you think about it, but it's not a main plot at all. It's kind of just there. Like, it's just kind of sprinkled in because these kids are teenagers at the end of the day. You know, realistically, it's going to happen when you go on a quest and emotions are high. All emotions are high, but it's not a main plot, which I really enjoyed. Can't wait to read the rest of this series. I think I'm going to read the next one, which you can just see behind me, and the gap that this book takes up. I think I'm going to read that one physically, so I need to get started so that I'm ready for the live show. But yeah, 4 stars, really enjoyed this. Can't wait to experience the rest of the series because I feel like it's only just going to get better for me. And then I read 2 books in the same series, the first one being A Dark Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I gave this 4 stars as well, and I also gave the sequel, A Gathering of Shadows, 4 stars too. I read these both in the month of February. I was meant to read this in January as it is my buddy read with my friend Kate. Didn't get round to it, so I read them both in the same month, which I don't think is a bad thing, if I'm honest. Reading these back to back probably helped me more because I kept the story straight in my head. I knew where we were going, I knew what had happened. I need to read the 3rd one relatively soon. It is my monthly read for March anyways, but just to make sure that I keep that story cemented in my head. The 3rd book is also the biggest as well, so not sure about that. But in the first one we are following 2 points of view. We are following Kell and we are following Lila Bard, and Kell is from Red London and he has magic, and Lila Bard is actually from Grey London, which has no magic. This story is split into 4 Londons, so you've got Grey London, which is the most like ours, no magic. You have got Red London, which is full of magic. You have got White London, which is also full of magic, however it is ruled by dictators essentially, and Black London, which had magic but has now been lost because the magic overtook the world. So I'm excited to see what happens in the 3rd and final book. I really enjoyed the first book, seeing the relationships like develop. We meet the characters for the first time, all of the stakes, and then I feel like the second one just got like a little bit better. Although my only gripe for this book is that for the whole book we are talking about these trials that are happening, they're coming to Red London, and I feel as though they're just not given enough page time. I feel like we spend so much of the book building up to the trials, and then we get to the trials and then they're over so quickly, in my opinion, that I love a trial. I want to experience more of it, I want to enjoy more of it, and I just don't necessarily feel like that's what happened. But I still had a good time and I can't wait to read the 3rd and final book. And then the final book I read in the month of February was a disappointment. Like, I feel like this could end up in my worst books of the year if I do that video, which I kind of do want to do, and that's Faebound by Sara El-Arifi. I gave this 2 stars. I did not enjoy this. I felt like it was a slog to read. I wanted so much more from this book than I got, and I think this could be an unpopular opinion because I enjoyed The Final Strife so much. I had so much love for that book and I cannot wait to continue the series. I received the sequel to this as my Waterstone pre-order. I ordered it with my own money, but I had received it and I was like, well, I definitely need to read this now to know whether I need to keep it or return it, and I ended up returning it because I do not see myself continuing this series, and if I do I will read the ebook and just know what happens. But this book, in my opinion, was just not it at all. I found the characters frustrating. We're reading from 2 points of view. Yi-Ran and Lettel, they are sisters. Yi-Ran is part of the army and Lettel is... she's a seer, essentially. She does divination. She looks into the future. And they don't really see eye to eye on a lot of things. And right at the start of this book, Lettel gives Yi-Ran a prophecy saying that her glory lies to the east. And then after a fatal mistake, Yi-Ran is then exiled from their colony. And that kind of snowballs into this whole adventure that her and her sister didn't necessarily see themselves going on. They end up in the Fae lands, and to them, who are elves, the Fae are just fairy tales. They are not real. They have not been real for many years. I feel like a lot of this book is meant to be so good. Like, it had so much promise for me. But at the same time, the timelines annoyed the heck out of me. You would be reading from one point of view and they would tell you a story up until a point, and then you'd be pulled back in time to read it from the other point of view, so you got a more rounded point of view, which I didn't really like. It jarred me so much. It kept pulling me out of the story. There is like a romance plot. This is a romantasy again. There is 2 romance plots within this story, and for both our main characters, and I just didn't feel engrossed by either, which isn't hard, but at the same time was frustrating because I wanted so much more from this bloody book and I didn't get it. And I don't know, it would not be one I recommended. However, if you enjoyed that book, I'm glad for you. I hope you enjoy the sequel. I know that other people do, and I'm so happy for you. Just for me, it frustrated the heck out of me, and I just can't anymore with the books that frustrate me. However, I did finish it, even though it did frustrate me. So there's that. But there are the books that I read in the months of January and February. Hopefully from now on these will be actually frequent and every single month, and we will see what happens with that. But I've read 9 books to start the year off, so I'm happy with where I'm at. I want to start reading more and making more a priority of my reading time, but we'll see what happens. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts and feelings on these books. If you did, please give it a like, really supports me and my channel. Leave me a comment down below of a book that you loved in either January or February, or a book from both months. Let me know. If you just want to leave me an emoji to let me know that you are here, leave me any magical emojis for A Darker Shade of Magic. I'm sure you can find something to spark your interest. And if you want to see more of me, please consider subscribing and clicking the notification bell down below so you get notified every single time I upload new videos. I've cut back this year. I'm trying to do at least 1 video a week every Tuesday at the minute, and we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, make sure you get notified every single time, because it could change. Who knows? I'm slightly chaotic. But otherwise, that is everything for today's video. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I will see you soon in the next one. Bye.